Welcome to the 4th episode of MC's Garage. Today I'm doing some more work on the Turbo 5.3 and the 84 k20. I've done a little bit of work off camera. I just got the steam pipes on and made a ghetto-ass bracket for the fuse panel. It isn't really going to work out. But today I'm going to work on the wiring. That looks like a mess. And possibly get the front dress on the motor. Here in a few days, next few times of me working on it, I'd really like to get it running. I started getting the tranny pulled out of it, the old 4-speed. So right now the bottom of the motor, can't really see it down there, but the tranny is slid back pretty far, so the motor's just sitting on a jack. Just so I can get it all mocked up. I pulled the turbo manifold back off just to get it out of the way, and I got to seal up the manifolds of the block, then seal the crossover pipe onto the motor yet. But once I get as much as I can done here, because I'm going to have to get some sealant for the manifolds, because I do not run gaskets in those, because gaskets always end up leaking. I might go in the interior and start working on the gauges and whatnot and get some wiring right for this. I'm gonna work on pulling the seats out here eventually so I can get bucket seats in it and start making a shifter bracket. I'm gonna put a 3-speed slap shifter in it. I'm gonna try to put a turbo 400 or a turbo 350 four-wheel drive transmission in it. But yeah, and then I got a mess in here from this small block. Can't really do much with it. But yeah, I feel like here in a few days or a few hours, who knows, I'm going to start doing some cleaning in here and then maybe try to get the inner fenders ripped out. I got a lot of work to do yet, but I'll keep you updated. Okay, so just checking back in. I got some of the harness run. Then I got some of it hooked up. I got this side of injectors hooked up. I got throttle body hooked up. This thing is disgusting and oily because the last car it was in had a turbo explode. But yeah, I got some things hooked up, but I got some other things I gotta like rewire, like the map sensor, and then I gotta actually butt connect the cam sensor wires up because they're falling apart. But I got the wires routed that run down to the starter and down to the crank sensor and whatnot. But yeah, this looks like a rat's nest and it looks kind of gross. Good thing there'll be a hood on this truck. But yeah, it's going pretty smooth. I got something going, I guess. Then I gotta integrate this harness. This is the truck harness. There's the alternator wires. Or no, this is the distributor wires. Down there is the alternator wires. I gotta see if I can integrate those into the LS harness. And I gotta try to make another mount to hold up that fuse panel because that looks like hell. But yeah, just making some progress. This took me about 15 minutes to try to get this all sorted out. And then I gotta get the computer mounted somewhere. I'd like to mount it on the fender maybe. But yeah, I'll keep you updated. Okay, so I know I'm not really showing much, so I'll just show some BS of me plugging in the injectors on this side, which the injector harness it's a mess, but it works. So there is the coil plug, and here this is the injector plug. It's all freaking tangled up, so I'm gonna untangle it. And then number 1 runs off of there. Line up the notch. Just click them all in. It's a pretty simple process. Kind of tedious. The brake booster in this truck is so close to the motor now. All 8 injectors are plugged in on the motor. The intake still isn't bolted down all the way. I gotta bolt that down. I don't know why I didn't. But yeah, it's gotta get an 8mm and run them all down, tighten it up, and then the wiring is pretty well done to the motor, I suppose. Gotta hook up the crank sensor, put the starter on it, and then I gotta hook the main truck harness into the LS harness and then make some kind of bracket to hold that up yet. And then I might be able to try to crank it tonight. I won't be able to fire it, but I might be able to crank it. I don't know if a small block starter will work on an LS. I'm gonna have to look that up. But that starter right there is almost brand new. After the mud bog in the truck with the small block, it had messed up the old starter, so I bought a brand new one to put on it. So I'm gonna do some Googling, see if that'll work, and then I'll get underneath of it, bolt the starter on it, run the wires to it, and maybe see if she'll crank. Okay, so now I'm under the truck. I run these wires down to plug them in. I just gotta reach up here, plug in the crank sensor wires, and then that's pretty much it. Once I hook the starter up, I gotta put a main hot on that wire. Then this one, I do believe, was for the air conditioner, or I could be wrong. Nope, that goes to the oil level sensor. Wow, can't talk. While we're under here, right there is what makes all this happen. ICT billet swap mounts. Couldn't ask for a better type of mount. Works with very little modification to put a new style motor in this old ass truck. There's that ugly ass Muncie 465. Takes a hell of a beating, but it ain't worth a shit when you're trying to go fast. Here's the little setup I got going on right now, holding the motor up. It ain't very safe. I don't think OSHA would approve. But yeah, I mean, the under the truck ain't terrible. I mean, I plan on wire wheeling all this and painting it after I pressure wash the frame out, because it's got just mud upon mud caked in it. It won't even come out. Oh, there it goes. That ain't good for the cab. But yeah, here's one of the tires I got on it. 35 1450 15 Bogger. Some damn good tires. 14 bolt corporate rear end. I think it should be able to hold the little bit of power this LS will squeak out, hopefully. Okay, so I'm back up here working on the truck again, or up on the wiring, I should say. Right now I just got the fuse panel just ghetto rigged up here, the carb return spring. And then I took all the wires that run the old motor. I cut the black tape they had wrapped around it for many, many years. You can see all the tape residue all over the wires, making them really sticky and disgusting feeling. Then this is still hooked up. This runs down to the starter and whatnot, puts power in the cab and all that good stuff. But for now, I'm going to be up here working on this. This used to be the old alternator wire. And then that wire ran off the LS harness. I got that wire ran up behind the motor all the way to here. This bolts onto the back of the alternator on the LS harness. So I'm just gonna kind of Y connect these together, just so hopefully some of the stuff in the cab still works. Hopefully that puts power. I'm not exactly sure what this will do in there. It may be completely unnecessary, but I guess we'll see. And this just goes on to here. I'm gonna try to fix that. This right here is just the exciter wire to the starter. It goes on the little post. Then you got the big post, which should run and give everything power. I'm not exactly sure. Hell, I might not even need to use this wire. But yeah, I'm just kind of going. Whenever I made this harness, sorry about that. Whenever I made this harness, I was building it for a vehicle that had no title, so I wasn't really worried about retaining stock functions inside the cab, which I plan on rewiring the cab, but for now, I just kind of want to keep it so I can get in and turn the key and fire it up. Maybe hell, drive it around naturally aspirated for a little bit until I can get an actual tune for it. But for now, I've gotten a lot done today so far. I'd really like to get some more done, but I left so much stuff at home. I left all my butt connectors at home, my crimpers at home, all my black tape, everything to do wiring. And I come down here and planning on doing wiring, so I kind of feel like a dumbass for not bringing it. But yeah, that is it for this video. I might come back tomorrow and do some more. I might do some more off camera today. But thanks for watching.